Okay, let's jump right into the absolute ultimate alternate wrestling history. Today we are exploring a really monumental, mind-bending what-if scenario. What if the tribal chief himself actually took over all elite wrestling? Listen, it's a fascinating thought experiment. We're talking about something that would completely, fundamentally rewrite the modern wrestling landscape as we know it. We have a lot of incredibly fun ground to cover in this explainer to really understand exactly how a seismic shift like this would play out. So, I want you to picture this. Imagine a massive AEW pay-per-view. The main event has just ended, right? People are catching their breath. Suddenly, the entire arena goes completely pitch black. The crowd holds its collective breath, buzzing with that insane anticipation for a surprise debut, because, well, AEW is absolutely famous for those moments. But then, instead of some familiar indie darling popping up on the screen, two massive, undeniable words echo through the darkness of the arena. Acknowledge me. Boom! The lights come back up, and Roman Reigns literally walks out onto an AEW stage. And here's the absolutely crucial detail. He's not walking out as just another former WWE star looking for a fresh start or a redemption arc. And he is certainly not making a guest appearance. No, he steps out in full final boss mode as the Tribal Chief. The sheer overwhelming gravity of an arrival like that, it freezes the wrestling industry in shock and completely changes the balance of power overnight.
Part 1. Leaving the Island of Relevancy.
Now, to really understand this alternate universe, we kind of have to ask ourselves, why on earth would Roman ever leave his kingdom? Well, in this specific timeline, he has already conquered literally everything there is to conquer in WWE. We're talking multiple historic world title reigns, endless WrestleMania main events, and the fully satisfying conclusion of his original Bloodline saga. The Island of Relevancy is totally conquered. There's nothing left. So AEW offers him something he desperately craves at this point, a completely fresh canvas. It's a landscape absolutely filled with untapped dream matches, complete creative freedom, and most importantly, the chance to conquer a new kingdom and build an entirely new empire from the ground up. Part 2, the locker room reacts. Look, you definitely don't just drop the biggest, most polarizing star in the entire industry into a brand new locker room without creating a massive, immediate shockwave. Roman's arrival instantly rips the roster right down the middle. The corporate battle lines are drawn super fast. In one camp, you've got these incredible heavy hitters who just inherently respect his sheer undeniable dominance. Guys like Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, Claudio Castagnoli. But then, in the other camp, you have the proud AEW originals, the old guard, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, MJF, and notably, Jon Moxley. These are the foundational pillars who absolutely stubbornly refuse to bow down or acknowledge a tribal chief walking into their house.
Part 3. Forging a new bloodline.
But here's the thing about Roman Reigns. He is a master strategist. He doesn't just walk into enemy territory alone. The deep, dark reality is that he immediately gets to work constructing a terrifyingly powerful new faction to enforce his will. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a hostile takeover. With Roman sitting right at the head of the table, Samoa Joe steps in as the ruthless enforcer. Powerhouse Hobbs brings this sheer, unstoppable physical force as the muscle. And then, in a totally brilliant strategic move, he recruits Hook to act as the silent assassin. Together, this physical force immediately begins hoarding championships, suffocating the main events, and officially ushering in AEW's dark Bloodline era. Part 4. Epic Dream Matches. So this incredibly tense locker room dynamic, it perfectly sets the stage for these elemental, mythological clashes that fans have literally fantasized about for years. First up, we're talking a God versus God battle of modern icons, Roman Reigns versus Kenny Omega. On one side, Roman brings absolute, crushing physical dominance. On the other side, Omega brings his unmatched precision and deep, complex in-ring storytelling. The clash of these two entirely opposing philosophies would for sure, arguably, be the biggest match in AEW history. Then, oh man, we get to witness a truly bitter clash of egos. Roman versus MJF. This wouldn't just be a wrestling match. It would be weeks and weeks of intense, highly personal verbal warfare. You are matching the ultimate silent, intimidating aura of the tribal chief against the absolute most venomous talker in the industry. MJF stubbornly refuses to acknowledge Roman, and Roman coldly refuses to even look at MJF's Burberry scarf. It's a psychological war just as much as a physical one, and it would be incredible. We also see things take a much darker turn with a cinematic, highly emotional reunion against Jon Moxley. Former Shield brothers colliding once again, but this time it's happening under AEW rules. So it wouldn't be a standard wrestling match. It would be a terrifying, blood-soaked war. Just two men who know exactly how to destroy each other, fighting with absolutely no mercy and zero allies to save them. And finally, we get this fascinating clash for the very soul of the company. Roman Reigns taking on Hangman Page. You have the dictatorial, intensely demanding tribal chief squaring off against the deeply beloved, anxious millennial cowboy. This match really represents the pure heart of AEW desperately fighting back against an invading corporate king.
Part 5. The Ultimate War.
Because inevitably, Roman's master plan actually works. He achieves a total corporate and in-ring monopoly over AEW. He controls the titles, the factions, the main events, the whole shebang. But just when hope seems completely lost for the home team, Kenny Omega makes a dramatic return. And he's not just coming back to save AEW, he's coming back to reclaim his company. This triggers the climax of our alternate history, a massive winner-takes-all war between the original heart of the company, the Elite, and this incredible invading force, the Tribal Empire. They are fighting for the very future and identity of all Elite wrestling. So what does this all mean? I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought from our explainer today. Roman Reigns may have dominated WWE with an absolute iron fist, but over in AEW, his greatest challenge wouldn't actually be winning the championship belts. No, his true hurdle would be trying to break the rebellious, fiercely independent spirit of an entire locker room. Could a company founded entirely on rebellion ever truly fall in line and acknowledge a dictator? One thing is absolutely certain. If Roman Reigns ever crossed that line and became AEW's tribal chief, professional wrestling would never, ever be the same again. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep questioning the history of the ring.